Welcome to Valley Fever Voices podcast, your go-to resource for current topics in valley fever. Today, I have with me Kate Titus. She's a canine mobility specialist and the founder and owner of A Loyal Companion, the first canine fitness and mobility facility in Arizona. She's a certified canine fitness trainer, FitPaws master trainer, and certified canine therapeutic sports massage therapist. Kate is on the board of Friends of Pima Animal Care Center, the nonprofit partner of Pima Animal Care Center, providing resources to support neglected, abandoned, and abused pets in Pima County, Arizona. She lectures, has written articles for popular pet publications, and is the author of 2 books on canine mobility. Thank you for being with me today, Kate.
Oh, it's good to talk to you again. It's been too long.
I know. I've, going back a little bit, I actually, I met Kate about 10 years ago. It's almost 10 years ago now when I was learning how to do orthoped braces from you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still doing that.
Still doing that. Yeah. Still doing orthotics, prosthetics, wheelchairs, the whole bit. So it's been great.
That's wonderful. And then we met again because Dr. Lisa Schubitz did a talk at your facility on valley fever. So here we go again, meeting up again.
Yeah, exactly. I keep turning up like a bad penny, right?
So what are you up to these days?
So, we're doing a lot of work with, like I said, the orthotics and the prosthetics and the wheelchairs, working with a lot of senior dogs, which I find incredibly rewarding considering I have 3 of them in my family right now.
Wow.
But yeah, we've been busy and it's been fantastic. A lot of valley fever cases, as I'm in Tucson. We're in the middle of the red zone. So we get to see a lot of that. And it's been great working with Dr. Schubitz, working with her, and we're doing another podcast soon, another presentation soon. So
yeah,
you're doing great to work with.
A presentation on mobility for valley fever dogs.
Correct. Yeah.
Now that's really interesting that you're seeing a lot of dogs needing help with mobility that have valley fever. So what kind of cases are you seeing?
So the ones that get to me are usually the ones that are disseminated. So we see some of the localized lung stuff. The more, when people think about valley fever, that's usually what you're going to think about, the cough,
right.
the lethargy. Yeah, so we see some of those, but we see a lot of bone lesions. We see a lot of dogs that are recovering from valley fever, and they've lost so much conditioning that they need help getting back to the point where they can complete their ADLs, their activities of daily living, just regular things like transitioning from a sit to a down, going for a walk, standing up to eat and drink, things like that. So we're seeing quite a few of those cases.
So they're losing all their strength and their muscle. So you're doing physical therapy to build them back up after they've been so sick.
Right. Strength training, really focused on functional movement, like helping them do things like, climb a flight of stairs or climb 2 or 3 steps to get into the bed or up onto the couch or whatever that happens to be. Most of the challenges we really see have to do with just don't have the stamina to really do much in their everyday life. So we're trying to help them get back to that.
Wow. Okay. And you're doing that event on Sunday, July 13th.
That's correct. 1:00, and that one will be online or in person. We've got a 40-person limit, which we hit pretty quickly the last time we had Dr. Schubitz talk to us. So online is always a good bet.
Okay, I'll put that link in the show notes so people can access that and sign up for it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. So now you have 2 books out now.
Yeah.
Are you doing a third?
I am working on a third right now. I have a co-author that I met at a veterinary rehab conference. So we're very excited about this one because this one tells the story of one of my clients whose dog had degenerative myelopathy. So we kind of follow follow Rhodey's case from the time that I met him all the way through to the end, and tell some story and do some teaching. And I'm very excited about that project because I have a special place in my heart for DM dogs. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
hoping, cross crossed, beginning of the year will be the release date.
nice. Yeah, physical therapy has research has proven that to be effective for DM. I mean, that's one of the big things.
They start losing muscle mass, and everything just kind of slides downhill from there. We got to
Yeah.
keep them moving.
Yeah. So just for people that may not know what degenerative myelopathy is, I think isn't it kind of like Lou Gehrig's disease?
Yeah, it's very similar to ALS, and a lot of the research that
Yeah.
deals with ALS is being done on dogs.
Yeah. So the nerves are basically demyelinating or losing their insulation. So the nerves stop working right and don't fire into the muscle right. So they lose muscle, they lose nerve function, and physical therapy can keep them going for quite a long time.
Yeah, physical therapy and laser are huge.
Mhm.
A lot of good research coming out of let's see, Deb Taraka out of Connecticut. Great paper on high doses of laser and where it
Oh,
can
nice.
keeping the inflammation down and keeping these
Nice.
dogs going really much longer than what they had been.
Yeah. Did you use acupuncture in the dog that you're writing the book about?
He do acupuncture. I think he did some. He didn't do it with me. I know that finances were an issue as well, so we couldn't throw the whole toolkit at it. But man, he was. Mike was a very outside guy, so they went on a cross country trip before we lost Rhodey, and they
Oh,
did great.
wow.
They hiked it, got some great pictures of him in all of these amazing canyons and national forests, and Rhodey was urinary fecal incontinent for the last 9 months of his life. So he was doing this with a dog that needed a lot of care, and he did a
Yeah.
great job with it.
Was
So
he
I
on
think
wheels?
he
Was he on
was.
wheels? Yeah.
He was. Yeah. And he could rock and roll. Rhodey was had a hula mix, and they loved going out and being outside together. So
Oh,
it's
how
a
cool.
great story. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I see some DM dogs and do the acupuncture and then the herbs and there are some really interesting herbal protocols that Dr. Steve Marsden's done.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dr. Marsden is amazing, and even I think he's even gotten some mobility back in some dogs, which is not usually how DM works. Once you
right.
lose it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Excellent. So we'll look forward to your third book coming out. Do you have a projected date?
We're hoping beginning of the year. We're hoping January.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you're getting together with Lisa Shubitz about valley fever. And so what is that all about?
We're going to talk a little bit about valley fever, but we're also going to talk about what happens to the body when you stop moving. You think
Okay.
about, what when you're sick and you're bedbound, you've got the flu, whatever it is, you just feel awful and you don't feel like moving. You still feel bad, and you've probably lost some weight. You've lost some muscle mass, you've lost some stamina and conditioning. And the same thing happens to these valley fever dogs, is that this is not a no exercise disease. We need to get these dogs moving. So it's so individual. And it's so important to just look at the dog that's in front of you and figure out, was it a month ago? Was it 8 weeks ago? Where are we? And what do we know? I've had dogs come in from pack with pound, and the most that she could do, she would lay in lateral, so lay on her side, and she could turn her head, lift it up a little, and look at you. And that's all she could do. So
Wow.
she had valley fever lesions in both femurs, tibias, the shin bones, and her spine. And she
Oh
had
my
it
gosh.
in her neck as well. So we had to be really careful with what we did with her.
Did you start with massage?
We were able to do some massage. We were able to move those joints through a little bit of range of motion, then a little bit more. Luckily, she was a ball dog. She was maybe a pit mix, kind of wiry build, so she had some drive, but she just didn't feel well enough to do much until we could, we could work in conjunction with the medication and the veterinarians that were following her care, paying attention to her range of motion and supporting what was there. 4 wheels that supports the front and the back, to getting rid of the front wheels because she was ready to rock and roll, back wheels, and then getting rid of all of it. And
That's
she
awesome.
so valley fever can be such a daunting disease, for the
Yeah, it's scary.
yeah, because you can watch your dog just kind of deteriorate in front of you, and that is really, really, it's really hard. But there is hope, with the right exercises and support healing.
Yeah, and the physical therapy itself will help support the immune system, which helps them get over the valley fever.
Correct. Earth system, which can't do its job cleaning out all of the cellular crap, the cellular body. It needs a pump, it doesn't have a pump like the heart. So we really got to get them up and get them moving within their tolerance, but we got to get them up. We got to get them up.
Right. And if they can't get up, I mean, you do things when they're laying down, like the passive range of motion and the massage, and that helps the immune system also, as well as the body itself.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things that we forget about is that there's a brain inside that body, and there are emotions inside that brain. And there is mental stimulation that we have to think about. And one of the big things is paying attention to the fact that even if your dog can only go for 5 or 10 minutes, making sure you're getting them out of the space that they spend most of their time in. So maybe that's a car ride, something that engages their senses that are functioning.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of the things I talk about when I'm in my valley fever program, is just getting them out in the sunshine and the fresh air and letting them just enjoy, because that stimulates the immune system also, and they need that. I mean, you wrote the book on motions and emotions to motion, and how emotions can hold you back or help you get better.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a big believer in that. And that particular book was a soul project. Absolutely. Because I really believe that, one of the most completely forgotten elements of motion in dog is what's motivating them to do it and what they get out of it. I mean, even something as simple as, am I thirsty enough to risk falling and pain? Pain is one of the greatest teachers that any mammal has. We don't like pain. You don't forget pain very often. You can forget what you love and things that you really enjoyed, but you don't forget what caused you pain.
That's for sure. So have you had personal pets with valley fever?
I do actually. My buddy Andy, he's sitting right behind me there. He's taking a little nap underneath the changing table. He was just diagnosed about 10 weeks ago with valley fever.
Wow.
He's 1 to 8, and he is on fluconazole. We are actually participating in the WOOF study through the U of A. So we're citizen scientists, which is fun. And we had to play around with his medication a little bit. He was his kidneys were not happy. They were overproducing urine, so we had to split his medication in. We had to cut it in half. So he's only taking 50% of what he should be for his weight. But he's managed now. He seems to be improving, and we have our first titer coming up in August to check and see how he's doing. So he's doing a lot of walks. He also does some swimming, which he doesn't really love, but he does it anyway. Challenge with him, he's also an IVDD dog, so he has had a ruptured disc in his back, intervertebral disc disease, for those keeping score at home. He was in a wheelchair when we got him. We've gotten him out of that cart. Now he just kind of walks like a drunken sailor. So
and IVD was not related to valley fever. It was a total separate problem.
Yep. Completely separate. In fact, we got him during the pandemic. So he was down, scraped up paws, scraped up stifles. He was dragging all over the place. We got him up. It took us about 9 to 10 months. We got him back up. Then he went down again. We had to go through another 9 months, got him back up, and he's been up ever since. And that's the whole thing about, you got to work with the dog that's right in front of you. And that's not just for practitioners, that's for mom and dad too. That dog that you saw yesterday that really wanted to go for a walk and walked for 15 minutes for the first time. it may not want to go for a walk today, you know?
Right.
So working with what you have in front of you. And he spends a lot of his time doing that, just kind of sleeping and hanging out. He's a little cuddly guy. So, you know, lethargy is not going to be one of the signs we look for in him because the boy likes to nap. So that's kind of that's kind of
Oh,
his, he's spurty. He likes to play for 10 minutes and then, whew, I need a nap. Um,
where
my
are
girl
his,
Helen,
where's his valley fever? Is it in his bones or his spine?
no, he's lungs. This
It's all
is
lungs.
this is all lungs. He didn't have the telltale limping. He didn't have that. In fact, all he had was he would cough once a day, once every other day. And I knew that his coughing was usually just after he drank water. He's always done that since I've had him. And when he started to cough at other times, I asked him to do a X-ray and a valley fever, and my veterinarian was great. She's like, yeah, absolutely, let's check it out. And sure enough, he was 1 to 8, and he had some. What's the pattern called? The lung pattern. He had a little bit of
The interstitial or the
yeah,
bronchial?
the
Yeah.
bronchial. Yeah.
Mhm.
So he had a little bit of that. And he had elevated globulin on the basic.
That's
So,
typical. Yeah.
yeah. So he was throwing all the signals. But yeah, so we've got him on the medication. He seems to be doing well. Yeah, and we had an experience with Helen, who is my boxer, who's around here somewhere. She had a limp, and this was probably 10 years ago. So we treated her for valley fever as well, and she has not thrown a positive after the first two. So she's still negative and not
She's
showing
still
any.
in remission.
Yeah, so she's been doing really
Excellent.
well with her.
Excellent. And she's a boxer.
Boxer Roddy mix.
Yeah.
She looks like a
Yeah.
little boxer.
So boxers are real prone to DM.
Yes, they are. And when we did, and you better believe that I did some genetic testing on her.
Yeah.
And she is only a carrier, so she does not have two markers. She only has one. So
Good.
I'm okay with that. The likelihood of her having DM is very, very low.
Whew,
But we
thank
do know
goodness.
she has very significant hip dysplasia that we didn't know about. She hid really, really well. She's that poster child for treating the dog, not the X-ray, because her hips
Right.
look awful. Yeah.
Right. Well, she's probably really muscular if she's a Roddy boxer. So those
She's
muscles are going to
she's very
hold it in.
sinewy. I mean, she was
What's the matter, buddy?
she was my gym sample instructor. She would do the exercises and show dogs how to do it.
This is Half Moon, by the way.
Yeah, Half Moon. Is he still on wheels?
He is still on wheels. We are in, let's see, he'll be 13. So we are 9 years in wheels.
Wow.
And
And
the
I
same
think,
set.
oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
You've got to rotate those tires.
Oh, we've done that. We've rotated the tires, gotten them down to slicks once or twice, but Cart's been great. Eddie's wheels is amazing. They're
And he
amazing.
was having trouble with his front legs for a little while there.
He was. We thought because he's also has intervertebral disc disease. He also has an extra vertebrae in his back, so that makes things even a little tighter. We thought he was on the way to having another ruptured disc, but turns out he has really tugging and pulling himself around with his front legs, and he developed tendonitis in his shoulder.
Oh, go figure.
So
Yeah.
laser did the trick. So laser and some NSAIDs, he's doing really well.
Excellent. So his shoulders were bugging him from putting all that weight on the front end.
Yep, and dragging
wow.
around. And
I mean, he was very, very much a
Scuddler. He's a Chihuahua rat terrier mix. I swear there had to be some min pin in there somewhere. A great gait. So
Good Half Moon. He's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
Excellent. Wow. So you're busy. Aren't you doing like a podcast, or you're on the radio in the end of the month?
Yeah, so I'm going to be on Human Animal Connection on Pet Life Radio with Jeannie Joseph. So we're going to be talking about
Nice.
emotions. We'll talk more about ability and as it relates to drive and why dogs are choosing to move the way they are. So looking forward to that. That's coming up. August is compassion fatigue. So we're having
Oh,
one of our local presenters come in and talk about compassion and caregivers and how that is something that we really need to pay attention to, and self-care is really important. So she's going to come in and talk us through common indicators and what you can do about that. So I'm
oh,
excited about
that's
that
great.
conversation.
Yeah, I have a lot of trouble with clients just being exhausted taking care of their pets. I mean, changing diapers and cleaning up, and there's a lot that goes into these pets that have mobility problems, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
tough. And sometimes people just don't want to go on, and it's hard when, you know, the pet's doing okay, but it's just a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, there are times when I fantasize about just being able to pop a leash on and walk out the door.
Yeah,
I've got 2 in carts, 3 urinary fecal incontinent. So before I go to bed, or before I can get in the shower in the morning, everybody has to go out and have help peeing, and then they have to have help pooping, and then we got to get them cleaned up, and then we got to get clean wraps on. So it's not an easy process, but I'll tell you, having kind of like being in a really good kitchen, right? Everything has to be in its place, and then you just, your wet wipes are over here. You know where everything is. In fact,
get
that's
your
what that is
routine.
back there. That's
Oh,
my changing station. At home, I have a real a baby changing station for human babies because it
oh,
has nice
cool.
shelves on there, and we can put, pads, and I have a diaper bag that we put all the smelly wraps in. You know where everything is, and
Wow. Do you teach the people that come to you for mobility all those tips and tricks
oh
on
yeah, oh
the
yeah.
changing pad and all that? That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And it's amazing how many don't get the instruction that they need on how to express their
Yeah.
own dogs.
Yeah.
Expression as in, helping them to pee and poop, because it'll fill up and then it'll just drip until you get it the rest of the way out. So if you don't do that, you are, 1 or 2 missed expression sessions away from a UTI. And
Right.
it can be a big barrier to people wanting to keep their pets. I mean, it's
Yes.
pee and poop. It can be very easy once you know, and once you build that relationship with your dog.
Wow. And so in your at a loyal companion, are you helping people learn how to do that too?
Absolutely. And
Wow. And so,
it's one of the questions I asked every client that walks in,
yeah.
is the dog urinary fecal incontinent?
Yeah. So veterinarians will send their patients to you, and then you take it from there with all the nursing care and the mobility.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're kind of that, I feel like we fill that niche for diagnostic support, for care, right? But you can't spend with your client. It's just
Right.
not how the model works now in primary care. It's just not how it works. So we've been through it. So we're there to kind of fill that hole.
Oh boy, we definitely need people like you.
And
I don't
it's
know if
such a
there's
great place
anyone
to be in.
up here because I'm in Phoenix, and I don't know if there's anyone like you up here.
I don't know if there is. I mean,
Do you still come up here and see dogs and stuff?
I have them come down to see me. Or if
Yeah.
it's not a casting, then I do a lot of video appointments. So
Oh,
we
that's
do
a good
video consult.
idea. So telehealth stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
helpful for people
Yep.
that can't get in.
Yeah. I've done as far away as Maine. People calling, and we do that. Yeah. So
That's
yeah, it can
super.
be really productive, because knowing that there's someone that can walk this journey with them, because it can be really isolating.
Yeah, it's
Because
lonely.
I really can't, because I have to make sure that I'm home to do XYZ for my dog. It's like you're
Yeah.
that pet parent. Although he's testing me today. It's the most important thing in my life right now.
Lives revolve around our pets. Not a problem. So
Yeah.
is there a dog that started your journey into mobility and getting certified and opening your practice?
Yeah, that would be Harley. Harley is what we call, he was our chief that was not supposed to get a dog. I was just, silly me just went to go say, hi, just to see this dog at the pound. And yeah, so he came home with me a few days later. He was a big Great Dane Foxhound.
Oh,
Mix.
wow.
He's a big boy, small versions of both of those. So he was probably 85 pounds. He was 100 at his biggest. But yeah, I wanted to spend more time with him. And, I'm a child of the recessions. I lost a job to one in 2008.
So it was like the universe was telling me,
You need to do something else. And I wanted to do something that would allow me to spend more time with him. And then Taurus, so, but I learned so much from him because I understood what that was like. We did a brace for him. I felt like I knew what that was like, the frustration of, can we get this to fit just right? Having to do all the straps, I went through the whole thing with him. And then he also developed a peripheral neuropathy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he lost the use of the surgically repaired leg as he got older. So, I got to put him in a cart and watch him use it and really understand how valuable help him up harnesses are, especially for large dogs. He didn't want to be lifted into the car.
so we figured out how to use the help him up.
He felt the independence of that. So I really tried to focus on that. And I try to help people understand when they're in that situation that their dog needs that independence. And that is just so important to stay focused and keep their emotional health top of mind, because physical can really blot everything else out.
Yeah, and that can be hard for people sometimes to kind of try to figure out what their dog is thinking and what the dog is feeling, and then respond to that appropriately and help them.
Yeah.
Because some people get frustrated. Yeah.
The projection is hard. It's very hard. He was our big foundation, and I lost him. We opened our facility here in Tucson in January of 2015, and I lost him in November of 15. So he got to see the facility. He got to be here with me every day. He did not like the pool. So the irony is that none of my dogs have liked the pool. And the one dog that kind of did, I only had for 3 months, and she had DM. She was a foster, and she loved to chase her ball in the pool, but we didn't get to do it very long.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, some of them are just scared of water.
Yeah, and that, I usually say we need to do 3 or 4 sessions because we have to get through the initial novelty of it. So you really need to build that trust. You need to go slowly, and you need to introduce it in a way that it doesn't add to their anxiety. We need to figure out what each dog needs. Some dogs need cheerleaders. Other dogs need a very quiet, supportive hand.
Right.
And getting mom and dad on board with that too, so that they understand what we need, and we try to use them. Like we encourage them not to come up on the deck of the pool, but to be at the end, and then we swim the dog to mom or dad. Mom or dad can give them a treat. They're the reward. That's how we get them away from the ramp and get them to swim the length of the pool. So knowing that, they're safe, and we give him every opportunity we can to get the benefits from the pool, because it can be amazing for a lot of different conditions.
Do some people transition to using their pool at home with their dog then after they learn how to do it at your place?
Some do. I have one of the most common reasons people come back when they have their own pool is that they don't do it. There's something about, I have to be at a certain place at a certain time. It's just like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. No, you're not. No, you're not.
You gotta have it on your calendar for it to be done.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. And it's nice to say that, but yeah, that's usually what happens. But for those folks that have done it, we spend a lot of time teaching them how we want them to do it, because it's not just, oh, let's just get in the water and let the dog swim. There are some things that we want to focus on, and depending on what the condition is of the dog. So if we're dealing with a neuro client, we really want them moving whatever limb is impaired, right? So if that's a back limb, we'll teach them how to play with the toes to get in there, so we get the flex, because that will eventually turn into a stride, so we want to get that muscle memory. We want to get that firing.
Yep. So make those connections, get those connections.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
how interesting.
Yeah.
I love what you do.
Oh,
Oh
thank
my,
you.
it's just unique, and you do it with such compassion that
Thank you.
you help them physically, but you also help them emotionally, which is
It's so important.
yeah, that's a wonderful combination, because I've had patients where physically I knew they could do something, but emotionally they were held back,
Hmm.
and trying to figure out what's holding them back and then how to resolve that can be really difficult.
Right. And one of the hardest things is learning to uh, control your overly helpful disease, your OHD, and that can be really hard. Or having an idea of what you think your dog can do, and then leaving it there, limiting them to that. You know, my dog can only walk if I hold up on the back end.
Yeah,
Well, let's let them practice safely doing it on their own as much as we can. Maybe that means helping them come along on the ride rather than being an impediment to additional healing or additional growth for the dog.
so you're doing a lot of client education.
Yes, we do a lot of that, and I try to make them part of the process because it's so important. You know, you only see me once a week, once every 2 weeks. Guess what? You know your dog better than I do. So
Mhm.
you better be contributing to how what we're going to do, you know, and how you can do this at home. How can you apply this? And we talk a lot about, you know, what does the dog's environment look like at home? And this is really important for our valley fever cases too, because we need to know, you know, what does their backyard look like? Is it all dirt? Okay, we need to do something about that. We need to figure out how we can make that floor less treacherous for them.
Yeah.
So we talk about, you know, what is your floor surface? Does the dog get on and off the couch? How do they do that? Um, well, they won't use steps for me. Okay, then come on in. We're going to teach you how to do that. We teach dogs how to use a ramp and how to use steps. And you
Nice.
know, that is a process. That is not something that you just take the ramp out of the box and then are puzzled why the dog won't use it when you set it up on the back end of your car or you set it up on your bed. It's like, well, no, of course they're going to go around that. They don't know what it is. They don't know how it works. It smells funny. It moves. It's a weird texture. So, you know, giving them the opportunity to not only the parents, but the dog too, to participate in their care, you know, and to participate in their growth and getting better.
Yeah, it takes baby steps with dogs to
It
get.
does.
It can be, some dogs are probably very excited to do things, but a lot of them are hesitant, and it just takes a lot of patience.
It does. It does. Patience and the right motivator. And usually the patience is figuring out what that motivator is. And
Ah,
sometimes you have to say, you know what? You don't really like being in this room. You don't like having me behind you. You don't like taking food from me. So, okay, mom, here's what it should look like at home, and here's how you set it up. And I want you to go home and I want you to practice it, and I want you to videotape it and send it to me. And then I can give you some instructions. So, figuring out what's going to work, not only with the dog, but with the environment and with the interaction, either between me and the dog or the owner and the dog. Because it's
interesting.
not, yeah, you
So it
have to
might not
find
work
what
with
works.
you in
Mhm.
your location or clinic, but it would work at home in their own environment when they're more comfortable.
Yep. Yep, it does.
Wow.
Yeah. And we have some that, you know, just are not going to participate in the gym. And that's okay, you know, because it's the knowledge that we're sharing. And if I can show you what it needs to look like and you are motivated to do that at home, great. Because it doesn't matter how motivated your dog is to work with me in the gym, you still need to do it 6 other days of the week or 5 other days of the week,
Right.
because this is not a one time, you know, but that just doesn't work that way, right?
Do
If
you have your clients watch videos? Do you have an app or something that they do their homework?
we use an app called uh, Physiotech, I think it's called Wibby now, WIBBI, and it has canine exercises in it. And so we can select those and we create a custom program for the dog, depending on where they are. And most of the exercises have photos and videos and descriptions that go with it. We've also created probably 50 or 60 different videos that we've put in as well. And then we send them a link, and they click that link. They can either go to the app, or they can go to the it'll open on the browser on their phone.
So you
yeah,
put
so-
your own videos in that app too, so that they can watch those? Oh, that's really helpful, because I know
Yeah.
you do things differently than just your standard stuff.
Yeah, we do. That has been a great, and one, like, I went to PT last year, and they're like, oh yeah, do this one and this one. And I'm like, are you gonna write this down? And they're like, well, I guess. Like, I can't remember all of that.
I
So
know.
it's really helpful. It's really helpful.
That's great. You've got all the bells and whistles. All right. So July 13th, you're gonna do a talk with Lisa Schubert. So it's going to be both of you.
Yeah.
Speaking about valley fever dogs and mobility. So that will be a super interesting talk. So I'll have the link in there. And then maybe I need to put the link to your other events. Are they all on your website?
I will, I'll send you a link. We haven't, we're just creating the sign up page for the compassion fatigue.
Okay.
Talk, and that one is August 10th, and we'll have more details on that.
Okay. All right. So as soon as you get that together, I'll put that link under this video so people can attend that, because that's super important. That determines, the making or breaking, getting your dog better.
Yes, exactly.
If you can get the help you need to get through it with your dog.
You got to put your own oxygen mask on first before you can help your dog.
Absolutely. All right. Well, anything else I need to know, or our viewers need to know about all the wonderful stuff you do?
Strength, balance, flexibility training, braces, the prosthetics, the wheelchairs. Frankly, we do, like I said, we do a lot with valley fever and helping people virtually if necessary. We're happy to do that. But aloyalcompanion.com is a great place to find us. We also have an online learning center that we've been building for a while, and that is learn.aloyalcompanion.com.
Oh, okay,
So
I'll get those links in there.
Yeah, and those both have newsletter links as well. We always have all of our events coming up in those. So
that's fabulous. Well, I'm so glad you sat down and spoke with me today. I had no idea that valley fever dogs and mobility was a thing. And so now people will know that all these dogs that have valley fever, there are more things out there to do to help your dog recover.
Yes. And support all of the great stuff that your veterinarian does.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
You bet. You bet.
All right, Kate. I'll be watching July 13th, and I look forward to the August event too. And thank you so much for spending some time with me this evening.
You bet. Good to talk to you. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.